that phone next to you right now. You know that person that you met a few weeks ago that didn't text you back and you're wondering why? You came from different backgrounds, different worlds, and it seemed like there was chemistry but it just didn't work out. Well, that's because people from different cultures have different expectations about dating, and if you don't know somebody's expectations, there's no way it's gonna work out because the expectations cannot be met. It's like trying to win a game you don't know the rules to. It's impossible to do. So in today's video, I'm gonna get that person to text you back today. That's right, they're gonna text you back today because you're gonna understand all of the intricacies of dating in different cultures. I'm gonna break down ego culture, respect culture, and survival culture. And once you understand this difference, your relationships are gonna be so much better with everybody. Stay tuned, this is not to miss. Where are the best places to date in the world right now? A long time ago, I made a video about the top 20, and I left out the top 5 because marketing. Reasons. So let's just talk about dating in general. I asked you guys, I'm like, where's the best place to date? Western Europe, like 4 hands went up. I said, where's the best place to date? Eastern Europe, about 12 or so hands went up. I said, who thinks America is the best? 1 guy's hand went up, that guy. Why do you think America is the best, by the way? Curious.
I've seen a lot of videos of
Okay.
and yeah, I think American people are more energetic.
Yeah.
They have more personality.
Uh-huh.
They are married directly.
Right.
And yeah, German people are very boring.
Okay. Germans are boring. Oh. Do you all, ooh.
America as a German guy, it's nice.
Do you all agree that Germans are boring? No. Yeah, just Steph from Netherlands. Okay, because the perception I guess people usually have is like Germans are quiet and reserved and like schedule. So I would say it's actually pretty strange because I think dating was very, very different maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. Everywhere was very, very different because we were more isolated. By that I mean like people travel a lot, but we didn't have like social media connecting us the way we did before, or the way we do now. Now it's like you have somebody that will live in America, maybe go live in Germany for a bit, live in London for a month, and then go back to America and take those influences with them. Now what we see happening in cultures is that the Western influence is kind of like dominating every single culture right now. You ever notice that? Like you might have some person that you've known who's like, let's say in Frankfurt, or somebody that you know who is in more and more people start popping up on your Instagram with like inflated lips and inflated like chest areas. Have you noticed that? It's like everywhere, and that's kind of like a LA look, right? Or more people are like let's say you're over here. Tesla is not like the biggest company over here, but people want to buy Tesla because it's kind of like the Western thing to do, right? So because of social media, our influences, or we're just getting them from everywhere. And so because of that, the world is becoming a lot smaller. Now, how does that affect dating? In our experience, what we've seen, and this is really, really tested, by the way, in our experience isn't like all of a sudden like me thinking, oh, this is like what I think in my mind. The experience we're talking about is like 15 years of experience, teaching this all around the globe, dealing with people from different backgrounds and cultures, taking an Arab guy and teaching him in London, or going to Australia and teaching somebody who's like a Spanish female, right? Like taking all this and combining it. What we've seen is that the influence is affecting the way that we see each other, and the way that we interact. So this is what's happening. You might have noticed the world is becoming a lot more politically correct. And it's a funny thing for me to say because in my heart of hearts, I actually am like a politically correct person. You know, like there's a lot of great ideas that exist in society that could have maybe worked out. And I'll just say straight up one of them, for example, right? Like, for example, the idea, this is gonna be kind of off topic, but you'll see where I'm going with this. For example, the idea, listen up, the idea of like communism. Okay, and I say that in Germany of all places, right? The idea of communism, okay? What is it really? It's just the idea like people should have good health care. Everybody has health care, everybody has food, everybody has money. No matter what level it is, everybody has it, right? So the idea of communism, horrible idea. Socialism, horrible idea. Wars have broken out, horrible idea. But guess what? It kind of works if it's done properly. Because Canada, that's what we have. We kind of had socialism, communism. It kind of works if it's done properly, you know. A lot of Scandinavian countries you go to Sweden, you can get your university degree for nothing, for free, and also you can just get a job. Usually, they're coming out of school, and everybody's got healthcare. You know, if you have any friends in Sweden, it's like you talk to like some girls like 19. You're like, what do you do? She's like, oh, I'm a doctor, and you're like, oh, you know. Whereas like in America, it's not really like that. So, any great idea like socialism or communism, like let's not say it's good or bad, but it could work. In the same way, capitalism could work, right? Like in a country like America, it's very, very capital. It's like it's the most powerful country in the world, rich country right now. But in a lot of ways, also, there's the most. Some people are just can't even like go to the dentist. You know what I mean? There's not a lot there for the homeless. So my point is, there's a lot of great ideas and a lot of bad ideas, but they're spread throughout the world a lot faster now. So how does that affect dating? What's the point of all this? What does it mean? Okay, listen up. This is what it means. Look, guys. What I'm saying is this. Politically correct culture is a great idea. In theory. The way it affects dating is horrible. Absolutely horrible. And what we see now is that more and more dating cultures around the world, more countries are becoming politically correct. Those are all great ideas. Those are great ideas. Those are wonderful ideas. But they can be pushed too far to a side and they become a toxic idea. Does that make sense? Yes. Any idea that's even great, that's really, really good and could be useful, can be pushed too far to become a toxic idea. And vice versa, some toxic ideas can be pushed to become good ideas, but that's another story, right? What's another great idea? Another great idea when it comes to like dating and relationships could be, marriage. Marriage could be a wonderful idea. Two people coming together, bonding in their souls, making a unison of flesh, starting a family together, growing, becoming teammates, learning from each other, molding each other, becoming supporters. But in our modern day environment, it's like 50% in divorce rates. It's really high. Nobody's sticking together, right? People are getting divorced and taking half the money. People are getting divorced and having emotional scars afterwards, right? So the men might lose half the money. The women might lose, have tons of emotional scars and children to take care of, and the guy leaves. There's so many things that could happen. So what we know is happening in dating is there's some countries that used to be amazing for relationships just because the roles of women and men were very, very simple. But there's also roles of women and men that can be very toxic. For example, I think there's a lot of, I've dated a lot of Arabic women, but from Arabic cultures, but the idea of like a man who's protecting you and takes care of you and looks out for you and guides you is very good. That could also become a toxic thing when it's like over controlling, setting too many boundaries. In my opinion, previously, the best countries to date and have relationships were countries that didn't have too much Western influence. That's the point I'm getting at here. If a country didn't have a lot of Western influence, I think it was an amazing place to date, meet people, and have relationships. Because it was untouched, basically untouched. The more pure the people, the better. But now, my point is, the world, everywhere in the world is becoming more and more intertwined because of the social media. So because of that, it's not the same. So basically, top places in the world to meet people at this present moment, they're the most untouched by this culture that's happening. By the way, this culture will switch back maybe in 10 years again to the other far side, the other far extreme. These things have a tendency to balance out, but for the moment, this is where we're at. All right, so top countries I think would be anywhere in Eastern Europe. So you're looking at Kiev, you're looking at Prague, Czech Republic, you're looking at any country like that. Now, why are those countries amazing? Why are people in those countries very open-minded? Why are they very nurturing and have low ego? Why do you think?
They don't have anything?
Correct. Correct. They've seen some war.
Yeah.
When you've seen war, you've seen some shit. It changes you in a good way. We have a buddy of ours, he's 21 years old. He's in Israel, he's in the army. And he dates a lot of girls that are like 20 years old that are in the army. But let's say you had two people, 20 years old, 21 years old, male and female, that were shooting like AK-47s at 19 years old, and they had to do it for 2 years, and then they come out of the army, or do you think they're like, bottle service, after? Like, I should skip the line at a club. Do you think that's how they are? No, it's the exact opposite. Anybody know Israelis? Yeah, a couple of them are like that, right? That's how it is. It's like it's the exact opposite. It changes them. So previously, Ukraine, Czech Republic, Budapest, any place that's like seen like some conflict in the last 50 years, typically has less ego. Now in America and Canada, we have so much ego because we haven't had a war in like 150 years. Well, America a little bit more recently, but Canada like forever, man. We haven't had a war in so long. So there's 3 types of societies I'm going to teach you right now. 3 types of cultures that you can date in, all right? Are you ready? Take a mental note of this. You will never hear this anywhere else, and I will never say this again. Take a mental note of this, all right? Or a physical note of this. You can do that as well. Number 1 is a ego culture. Ego. It's driven by ego. It's all about I. How good am I? How do I look to my friends? How am I to other people? It's the ego culture. That is number 1, all right? That is basically the Western world. It's a little bit of Europe now too in terms of London, because London is like the metropolitan where everybody comes to for like building up their ego. Look where I am, look at where I'm eating. Okay, ego, that's number 1. Number 2 is a what? Respect culture. A respect culture. Okay? Now respect culture is a lot like the Eastern world. A lot of when I say Eastern, I mean Asian cultures, Asian societies. It's all like respect. How do you care about each other? How are people treated? You talk about any culture you have. We talk about like ancestors and your family a lot. It's considered a respect culture. So, for example, like your ancestors, pay respect to your ancestors. If it's a culture where your grandmother would typically live with you, you know what I mean? Anybody have like Italian and have a grandmother that lives with them in the attic? You know what I mean? Like that kind of culture, right? And then the last one is survival culture. Just pure survival, man. It's just trying to like make it from day to day. So that's like Africa. You know what I mean? Like that's like Africa and places like that. Like probably even a little bit of like maybe even almost Cuba, but Cuba could also be respect culture. I was in Africa a little while ago, and bro, it was crazy. Like in Africa, like there was this one girl I was talking to. And she came over one day on our second date, and she's like, you know, I don't feel so well. And I was like, what's wrong? You're just like not in a good mood. She's like, I don't know. And she brought me chicken and everything. We're having a great time eating chicken. She goes, I don't feel so good. She undid her pants. I'm like, huh? And she's like, I have to go home. I'm like, okay. I call the next day. I'm like, what happened? She's like, I have malaria. I'm like, oh, okay. That's a good reason to not show up for a date. Malaria. That's like a good reason, you know? It's like an appropriate reason. Like, fair enough. You could flake if you have malaria. You know, like it's a good reason to flake. Malaria. You know? It's not I have to like wash my cat or like nothing like it's like malaria. Yeah. It's Stephanie's birthday party. No, malaria. Like real world problems. Hashtag real world problems. So with that kind of a culture, it's a whole different ball game. When I was there in Africa, I didn't worry about like what my Instagram post was. You know what I'm saying? I didn't worry about that because I was just trying to get water. You can't drink from the tap. Anybody been to a country? Show of hands if you've been to a country where you can't drink the water from the tap. Yeah, few amount of people. And now think about this. When your experience was there were some moments of the day you're just like, I need water. That was like a goal you had for about 15 minutes just to find water in this hot ass country. Now when that's happening, you're not like, what are my Instagram statuses? You're just like, no, water. Because I can't drink water out the tap because I'll get diarrhea. That's what you're thinking about, right? So look at all these cultures. Survival, respect, and power, and then you have ego cultures. Depending on where you're dating people in these countries, it'll completely change. Now, here's what happens. Here's the crazy thing that happens. Sometimes I meet somebody from, like, let's say a survival culture, and you'll move them to a ego culture, and it will fuck up their brains, man. You'll see them, like, our estimate is 3 years. That's how long we give them. We give them 3 years. Recently, I saw this girl from Africa that I met. A different girl, not malaria girl. Actually, no, it was malaria girl. It was actually, yeah. So malaria girl, I was talking to her, and she like recently like met a guy who lived in Dubai. Okay, So we took malaria girl and we moved her all the way to Dubai. And now she's like, I'm on a yacht, bitch. I'm on a yacht, yeah. And now it's like, it's like I can talk to her, but something's changed. Like something's shifted, right? Because like it's like boom, boom. It's like being switched to two different worlds. It's like culture shock for your system. So people can't jump around and move to different cultures, but then, you know, if they stay there too long, they kind of lose their essence. So I think if somebody can move from one culture to the, like up or down one, like they can move from respect to ego or ego to respect. But if you go from like ego to like survival, it's like it just messes up your head too much. Like it's really, really hard to stay there. And basically, by the way, that's my life. That's my life, going to every single culture, like jumping around these levels of culture all the time, and like trying to like go back home. And people are like, where are we going for the party? Do we have bottle service by the DJ? And I'm like, I just tried to get water yesterday. That's my life. So yeah, I do that a lot, and I can imagine how it affects different people. If you are from a respect culture, if you're from a, let's say, an ego culture, and they're from a survival culture, and they're like saving bread to go out like on a walk with you, you're like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? You're gonna think they're crazy, and they're gonna think you're crazy. Funny story, I'm in Africa. All good stories come from Africa. So I'm in Africa. I'm with my cousin, and we're sitting down at a buffet. It's a hotel buffet, man. It's like a 4-star restaurant. And he lives in a room that has like a mattress, like a shack mattress. And I bring him to this restaurant, and I'm like, take anything you want from the buffet, anything. There's like little cakes, little lobster. There's even like a lobster stew thing. What do you think he goes and he eats?
Food.
Huh?
Basic stuff.
Basic food. He gets the corn, like potato, like mashed potato, and like a stew, all this. Now he's probably just eating that because he's comfortable with it. I'm looking at him because he's crazy for eating the basic stuff. He's looking at me because I'm crazy for like whatever I'm doing over here, which doesn't even make sense. You know what I'm saying? So if you're dating somebody that's like from a different background, they might think you're crazy, and you might think that they're crazy, but really you're just from different worlds. So you got to decide: do I want to date this person for a short period of time, or do I want to date this person over here for a long period of time? That's going to be the ultimate decision, because maybe it might not work out long term. Maybe you have a great connection, but the backgrounds of how you're programmed is just too much. They're too strong, so it's not going to last. And that's a reality you have to deal with. And it's something that, you know, I can't tell you that. It's going to be a personal judgment you make on your own about how much crazy you can deal with, or how much different background you can deal with from someone. You know, like for me personally, I know I can't date a Russian. I know I can't. Anybody Russian here, by the way? Ruski? Da? Polska? Polska.
Like half. I'm half German and half Polish.
Okay, cool.
So.
Got it. Did I do that? Did I do it right? The song, the Polish drinking song? Polska.
Not really.
Not really. Okay. Tell me after. I'll try to get it properly. So, for example, I know I can't date a Russian girl. Why? Because in Russian culture, it's just like if the man cannot pay, it's not his fault. But fuck him. Like, if he can't pay for the dinner, oh, it's not his fault. I'll pay. But I'll never see him again. He's dead. Why? It's just the way that it is. It's just the way that it is. So, I don't care about the paying stuff. I just know that I'm not flexible in certain areas. The way they're so inflexible in certain areas, I'm also inflexible in my personal little areas. And we're just going to clash all the time. So for me to like try to like pull a Russian out of it and be like, see things my way, and like for them to see things, me to see things their way, there's always going to be some sort of a disconnect there, right? So for me personally, I get along with like more nurturing cultures. So I gotta date in that area, right? And the thing is, every culture has their own little thing, you know. So it's crazy. You gotta learn how to deal with that. Like in ego cultures, it's like I don't know, Jesse. What is it in Toronto? The Toronto thing that like a Toronto girl will never call you back if you do this thing. Like something that she would do.
Something that I would do.
Yeah, it's something you do naturally, which you think is positive, but a Toronto person would never call you back if you did this one thing.
Go out on a date, have a lovely time getting to know each other, but don't pay for the drinks.
Okay, so that same thing as he said. Yeah, not paying for drinks, or I would say even beyond that, I'd say like calling somebody on the phone would be offensive in an eco culture. In a lot of places, like calling somebody like he called you? What? Why didn't you just text? I don't want to pick up my phone. If I want to pick up my phone, I would pick it up. In a culture like a Western culture, what typically happens is you can't always go out one-on-one, so you invite somebody out to an event with your friends. You're like, hey, we're all at this place, we're all at a party, we're all at a museum, come hang out with us at this party or museum. And what'll happen is they'll come, but guess what? They come not to meet you. It's very strange, I know. You tell them about the event or the party, that they come specifically not to necessarily meet you there, which makes no sense. You're like, why would you go to the meeting place to meet somebody you don't want to meet? Like, doesn't make any sense. That's how it works.
How's it in Germany from your perspective?
Yeah, Germany. Yeah, the Germany update. Yeah. Can I get a hell yeah? I didn't think you guys were going to do that. It was pretty cool. All right. So, yeah, Germany is actually not that bad. It's not that bad in comparison. Honestly, dating in Germany is a lot like dating in Switzerland. They're very similar. And I don't know if it's because you guys share the language. They speak Swiss German, but Germany and Switzerland are very, very identical in the way that if you make a date with somebody in Germany, they're gonna you already know where I'm going with this, right? Yeah, they're gonna message you back and be like, what is the meeting location? What time are we meeting at? Is it on the corner or not? What kind of shoes? Is it sitting down location or are we walking? They want to get the information correct. And then if you show up late, it's like you're an asshole. You are a huge asshole for showing up late and not having an effective plan. In that way, it's kind of cool for me because I like schedules. I like schedules. It's really great. So it can also be a detriment to people's. It can also be bad because you might meet somebody here, and that person that you meet, like you have a great connection, but they're just not emotionally open to the connection. They're just like, you're like, we have a connection. And they're like, no. And you're like, but it's here. And they're like, no. And so that's the challenge with dating in Germany. But I would say it is one of the. It's also very interesting because it's like it's a place where you can date, and you think the person might not like you, like. They're not giving you any signs. They're giving you nothing. You got their phone number. No clue, nothing. Germany is on the better half of dating, I think. I don't know how it is to have relationships here, but definitely on the better half. And I think that, is this like a short-term dating culture or is it like a long-term dating culture here?
Germany?
Yeah, like when you meet somebody, is it like understood that you're going to be dating for a while? Or is it just only like a short-term thing usually?
It's usually long-term. Yeah, exactly. Usually long-term.
Okay.
Expected.
So it's expected, like, okay.
You're kind of filtering as you're flirting or whatnot.
Got it. Okay, cool. So it's a long-term dating culture. So some cultures are long-term versus short-term. Like Western cultures, like, you might not even get a date number 2. But like in places like Helsinki, it's like you go out with the girl, it's like understood that like you're married now. It's like, okay, so we're married now. Yes, okay, yes. It's great, man. It's so great. Like you go on a date with the girl, and she's like, okay, I'll tell you my friend's first like Helsinki and Ukraine experience. Okay, my buddies who first moved there a few years ago. I was like, so what's it like? He's like, well, one time I was at a club and I bought a rose for a girl, and I gave her the rose. You know, from the rose guy. At the club? Do they have those here? Usually, okay, cool, they got rose guys everywhere. Guys walk around. He's on the dance floor. He's in his jacket, his winter jacket never comes off. It's hot. He's got these old roses. He's trying to sell you the rose next to the $1 pizza at the end of the night when you're there like eating. He's like, rose? You're like, no. I was like, rose? That guy? Yeah, that guy. Okay. So they have him in Ukraine too. So the guy's there on the dance floor and he sells my friend a rose. My friend gives it to the girl. And then like a little time goes by, about half an hour, 45 minutes goes by. He's like, you know what? I like that girl. He brought that other girl a rose. The first girl comes, not upset, just confused. She's like, you bought me rose, and then you bought her rose. Why would you buy me rose and her rose? You like me, do you like her as well? Like, just trying to like figure it out and the girls were having a discussion about this. And he's like, what the fuck? Ukraine is awesome. And then like one time he went on a date and this girl, like, he's like, the girl's so poor, like she didn't have a smartphone. You know what I mean? Like, this is back in the day when when people didn't, like not everybody had iPhones. This is like 6-7 years ago. So she just had like the regular like flip phone, and she came on the date and she brought him chocolate chips, like little like chocolates, and a mug, like a coffee mug for the date. And he's like, this is beautiful. I've never been given anything on a date before. Some of you guys look like you're in disbelief or you're shocked, like you just saw a ghost. That doesn't happen here, I guess? No, nobody gave you a rose or okay, gave you a mug. Typically, like in you guys are like, you're all going to Ukraine. Everybody take out your phones, go to Expedia.com, book tickets to Ukraine. We'll get a group rate. So it's totally unfair in life that people would think that you know what they want. That they would think that you have seen life from their point of view and that you automatically give them what they want in relationships. That's just not gonna happen, right? Depending on somebody who's from an ego culture, a survival power culture, or a just struggle to live culture, it makes a huge difference. Now, once you understand this, you're gonna have the ability to go back to your old relationships and friendships and dating life and understand why it didn't work. What was the essence that it was missing? You're gonna have clarity on that. And now you can also take this information and move forward in life. This body of information is gonna change the way that you interact with the world forever. Think about it. This is a moment in time where your life is gonna change and never be the same again because of this one key, the Rosetta Stone of all relationships. There's so much more to learn about this. And there's other things I'd love to teach you. So if this is something that you found valuable, that can impact you in your life, you wanna learn to take this and use it more, we'll put a link here for our application calls and mentoring. So that's me working with you in this area in mentoring. And I can teach you all the things I know about relationships. Actually, we have a special call that we do specifically just about this. And it's me being in your life for the next 2 months. And we're just working on this together, okay? It's a great thing to do. I think it'll be very, very valuable if you've never had your relationships really expand and see the depth in them. So I want to thank you again for watching this video, man. I put these out for you. If you found this useful, it's not enough to just keep it to yourself. You gotta share it. So as all the YouTubers say these days, smash the like button. Every smash of the like button makes me do more videos like this, and it helps you out in your life. And I know that the content is much appreciated, okay? And also share it with a friend. This is great content, very clean content, incredible content about all relationships in general, so it can be useful in business, personal life, family life, whatever you name it. All right, so thank you very much. And as always, keep in touch and what? Don't be a stranger. Peace.